Hello everyone and welcome back to APPF1 Tier 2. We're here for round number 7 of 10. We're really getting into the business end of the season now. 4 rounds to go, including this one. And we're here in Jeddah for this round, which is often a track that causes some incredible races, but it can also produce some nasty drama as well, shall we say, in some leagues. And it's good to be back here though, because last time we raced here in Tier 2, the whole lobby glitched and it was a very strange experience. So hopefully that doesn't happen again today. But we shall see. We've got 14 drivers on the grid. We should have 15 once Robsu gets here. He said, oh no, Robsu's already in. Okay, that's fine then. So 14 on the grid. Not actually the best, I won't lie, but you know what? It's fine. Like, this is a decent grid. It's just that Tier 2, we've gotten used to having 15 plus grids this season. It's been great for attendance in Tier 2, so just a 1 week where it's not quite so good, I can forgive, especially when it's still 14. It's still pretty darn good, so appreciate Tier 2's attendance this season, especially in the wake of Tier 1, for example. But anyway, Jonathan is going to be the first out to settle a lap, the Season 8 Tier 2 champion. He's coming through the final corner in his Ferrari. He'll be the first to set a lap. Here we go, DRS enabled all the way down towards turn 1. We'll go through the championship in a second, but we'll ride on board with Jonathan as he takes us on a lap of Jeddah, down the gears, into turn 1, across the curb, through turn 2. Got to go across that curb as well. Jonathan quite conservative through there. And now down towards turn 3. Very hard corner, very, very tricky corners to get right, and Jonathan's got that very wrong, going very wide on the exit, but still keeping it in track limits at least through these next few high-speed corners, and Jonathan invalidates. So riding ball with RJ instead, who's also coming through just behind, and Jonathan lets him go. RJ at 32.4 in the first sector. Comes to this long left-hander and then up the hill all the way down. Well, I say the hill, the slight bump all the way down to the next right-hander. Again, so many high-speed corners on this track. It's so easy to get it slightly wrong and end up in the wall. RJ doing reasonably well so far. Into the final sector he goes. 1 minute 1.1 at the middle sector mark. And into the last few corners now, down this straight in sector 3, all the way down to the final corner, the hairpin, where Verstappen famously crashed on the exit in 2021. Here comes RJ, the American driver, close to the inside, not as close as he could be, but it's not bad through the final corner. RJ is going to set the initial pace, and it's going to be a 1 minute 28.7. Who can beat that? Well, Sumo will hope he can. He's coming to the line now. Don't think he's going to beat it. No, 29.3 for Sumo. There's a Red Bull, I believe. That's Quark to start a lap just behind. There's also Enchiladad coming around the final corner now with a McLaren right behind Calaco, so we'll see if there's any improvement for either. Okay, so Jacko some way off, Enchilada way more of a distance off, so I think not a competitive lap time from him yet. The two-time podium finisher this season, Lawrence, defending champion, goes to P3 as Tier, the man in second place in the championship, goes to P5. That is Robsu starting a lap. What about Exterek, the championship leader? He's coming through as well now. We'll ride on board with Alex G for now, though, as he's about to come across the line for a 30.2, some way off pole position for now. What about Quark? He's backed off by the looks of it. Jonathan's invalidated again. So we'll ride on board with the championship leader from Norway, Exterek. Into the last corner he goes. all the way down the gears. Only 10% ERS left. He's going to drain all of that down towards the line now. 25, 26, 27, 28. It's not going to be pole, but it is P3 at 29.4. And that lap from RJ looking very, very good at the moment. Some 6.5 tenths clear of Sumo. What about Quark? He's not on a lap. Jonathan's backed out. Robsu, the Finnish driver in Sector 2 at the moment. He's had some struggles this season. He's not been up to where he expects himself to be, I don't think. But, you know, new game, and he was definitely getting closer to where he was when he joined APP towards the end of last season on F1 23, but he still couldn't quite get to that pace that he wanted to be. And now he's taken a backward step again at the start of this game, unfortunately, which can happen between games. But it's just unfortunate for the Finnish driver, who is just regaining some confidence. He's coming across the line now, but he's way off of pole position at 31.4 for the Finn at the moment. Enchilada, by the way, put in a competitive lap on that second run on those tyres. So he's gone to P4 right now. And also Quark, I believe, going again. Yeah, he is, I think so, on the same set of tyres as well. Sector 1, yeah, there we go, 32.3 through the first sector. And he's looking to power his way up the grid. He started second place on the grid in his debut race in Tier 2 last week in Mexico. Aces got pole position that day, but Quark looked very good until he binned it in the race about 2/3 of the way into the race. And it was a huge shame. He did recover due to a late safety car to P6, but still not where he would have wanted to be. And now he's coming through into the final sector. DRS open all the way down to the last corner. It's looking pretty good so far for Quark. Down the gears on the exit, don't lose the rear on the exit, and he hasn't done to the line. This is looking very good, in fact. It's looking extremely good. Is it good enough for pole? Yes, a 28.4, just pips RJ by 2.5 tenths of a second. The two Hasses on laps as well, though. Don't count them out. Aces, well, you can count him out for now. He hasn't validated, but Drogon on a lap, the Italian, who has been extremely fast this season, apart from last week, curiously. He just was not a fan of the Mexico City circuit, I don't think. But he'll be hoping to get back to form here today. He's coming down towards the last couple of corners now. Gets a tiny slipstream off his teammate, but not too much of one. And Drogon into the last corner. He's been quite inconsistent this season at times. Oh, and hits the wall on the exit the last corner as well. But he's going to finish the lap anyway, all the way down to the line. Used all his ERS, a 30.2, a long way off. Surprising. That is surprising. And Drogon seems to have lost that pace that he had in the early part of the season. Mania on a lap here as well for the Alpine team. Got Jonathan as well starting one. He hasn't been able to set one yet. He's invalidated both his previous efforts, and he's backed off again. So still no lap to be had for Jonathan at this time. But Mania into the final corner goes the British driver, who's been rapidly improving the last few weeks. Through across to the line comes Mania. It's going to be a 30.2 for the, I believe, two or three time Tier 2 Constructors Champion. P9 for now, but it seems to be a big gulf between the mid-pack and then the top run, the sort of top mid-pack of Sumo, Extrac, and maybe Enchilada can be included in that as well. And then a huge gap to the top two, Quark and RJ, just the class of the field at the moment. What about Aces, though? What's he got? A big slipstream off of his teammate, that's what he's got. Down towards the last corner he goes, down the gears, a little wide of the apex maybe at the final corner, but still gets it decent on the exit, doesn't hit the wall like his teammate. It's looking pretty good. To the line he goes, a 28.9, and that's closer. P3 for Aces, the man who was on pole last week in Mexico. See if he can make it back-to-back pole positions today. Got a Ferrari coming across the line. That's going to be Jonathan to start his next lap. He'll finally get something on the board, but it's not going to be anything to write home about. Down to turn 1 he goes. Is he going to get it better this time? Down the gears, into third gear. Sumo has binned it in Sector 1. There'll be no improvement in this quali session for the man who narrowly missed out on a podium last week. There's the stricken Mercedes. Jonathan has invalidated again. But Sumo not going to be happy with that one. A bit of a waste he will feel, as he definitely had more pace in the car, but he has binned it into the wall. It's so easy to do. I wouldn't be surprised if that's not the last crash that we see in this session. Jack Alacco through the final corner. In the meantime, his teammate from Scotland, as he goes across to go 2.5 tenths faster up to P8, just ahead of his teammate, as Alex G also improves to P6 in the meantime. So let's have a quick look at the standings, shall we? It is Exterek leading the championship as it stands with 63 points. And then it's Tier and Aces both on 55 points, not far behind. And then 51 points for Jacko, 50 for Sumo, 49 for Enchilada and Alex, 46 for defending champion Lawrence, 44 for Drogon, and 37 for Mania. That is your top 10 drivers, and I would say every single one of those drivers has a chance to win this title. Especially those in the top 8, I would say, even top 9, honestly. Mania may be a little far back, but anyone in that top 9 could win this title with 4 rounds to go. Incredible stuff in Tier 2. And the constructors are similar. Sauber on 104, Mercedes 99, along with Haas on the same total, McLaren on 97, and Red Bull on 93, and Williams also on 81, not far off. Tier improves, but doesn't improve position, actually. Actually, I think he did just get ahead of Mania, but still only P10. Enchilada, that his teammate, though, goes to P4. That's much more like it. I think Sumo's going to find himself dropping down the order as this session goes on. Jack Alacco all the way down to the line. No, into the pits, in fact, for the Scottish driver. And pit limiter on as he finds his way into the garage. That's surely invalidation for Tia. I don't know how he got away with that. Robsu also on a lap right now in Sector 1, really pushing through that first sector by the looks of it. Is he improving though at the sector split line? Yeah, by a huge amount. 6 tenths in Sector 1, but he needs a lot more than that to catch up to the rest of the pack at the moment. Is anyone else on a lap? Lawrence, yeah, into the pit, so nothing for him. Drogon just starting a lap. So we'll stay on board with Robsu, unless Tier is improving. I don't think so. No, he's not. So stay on board with the Finnish driver. He's coming through Sector 2 at the moment. There's a Sauber just ahead. Hopefully we'll get out of the way in time. But yeah, 1.1 seconds. This is much better for Robsu, and will be much more in tune with the rest of the pack, because he's a long way off at the moment. He just needs to nail this final corner and he will be right up there, and ready to take the challenge to the midfield through the final corner. Little bit of oversteer there on the exit, but just about got it under control. To the line at 29.995, goes up to the top 10. Well done for Robsu there, after such a discouraging first lap, to get himself back in it. Very commendable indeed. Hello to Exterek, the championship leader, in the chat. Says it promised to be a fun race. I with mechanics play Fortnite. Well, okay, man. I don't know what your feats in other games have to do with today, but you know what, fair enough. But anyway, Aces coming through Sector 1 at the moment. I don't think Drogon was improving. No, he wasn't. He's invalidated. So we'll stay on board with the British driver. 3 minutes to go in this session. Only Alex G out on an outlap at the moment. That's surprising. I thought there'd be more people coming out the pits at this time, but they're waiting until the very last moment, which could be dangerous with traffic at this circuit. But you know, they're really waiting quite a long time. as Aces comes through Sector 2. He was just about 2/10 up, or something like that, in Sector 1, I believe. And he comes to the Sector 2 line now, 2.5 tenths still. So through the final sector, he's got to nail these last few corners. I think he got that one just about right, maybe a little too much there as he went through that chicane. Into the final corner he comes, brake at about the 50-meter board, I would say, maybe a little earlier than that, but Aces around the final corner, again misses the apex slightly like he did on the previous attempt. Is it going to be enough for pole position? No, not quite. 85 thousandths of a second off, and Aces is not going to be able to repeat his pole position from last week. So who is going to get it? Quark currently on the top spot, but Aces has proved his lap is not invincible at this current time. Alex on a lap at the moment as well in Sector 1. What's it going to be across that split line? Just under a tenth down. So he's going to need to find some time in the rest of the lap. What about Drogon? Should be expecting some improvement from him, I would have thought, but he hasn't got a lot of ERS left. He's still got hot lap on. So I don't know if he hasn't realized that. Has he got damage, in fact, to his front wing? He does. He's pitting. Yeah, no front left end plate. He's hit a wall somewhere, and Drogon, for the second week in a row, is going to be way down the grid after qualifying, which is a big surprise. Alex G, meanwhile, he is now improving again, just under a tenth up this time at the second sector split, which would put him up to P6. He could unseat his teammate into the top 5 as well. Palang, how on earth are you making the top of my YouTube every time? I think, to be fair, I think live streams get pushed to the top of your feed if they're live streams from someone you're subscribed to, so that would be why. But I'm glad to hear it nonetheless. Alex, no improvement, loses all the time he gained in that final corner there. Extrarec coming through Sector 1 as well, the championship leader, as well as Quark, just starting a lap. Aces not going to be able to get another run in. Who's on an out lap at the moment? That's the McLaren, both McLarens in fact, within a few meters of each other. Mania coming through. Is there anyone coming across the line that's on a lap right now? I don't think so, unless Jonathan. No, he's on an out lap as well. So I guess it's going to be Robsu. No, he's on an out lap too. Plenty of people on out laps. So I'm just going to ride on board. I think Extract's going to be the first of this lot across the line, and he's 2 tenths up at the moment in Sector 1. What about the middle sector? Just about 2 tenths still, hasn't lost or gained any time on his previous best in that middle sector. What can he do in the final sector here? He's only got 3% ERS, and well, that's rapidly going to 0. There we go, 0 ERS in the tank for Extract. He's going to lose a ton of straight line speed, and there may not be an improvement here as a result of that from the championship leader. Through the final corner and to the line. This could be quite a way off. No, he did gain time after all. P4 for now. Second row at the moment, but there's plenty of people on laps, not least Quark, the current pole sitter. Across the line he comes. Can he improve? Yes, he can. By another tenth. Does anyone have anything in the tank to beat that? Mania tenths in the middle sector, improves to 8th, but not enough to challenge for pole. What about the McLarens? It's going to be Jacko first across the line. He's at 6 tenths up in the middle sector. Can he get himself on the second row? No. Third row for Jacko. His teammate Lawrence, I think, has backed out. No, he hasn't. He's improving as well. Could it be second row for him? No. He joins his teammate on the third row. Nothing for Enchiladadad. He's down to P7 after all of that. Aces versus Kings is invalidated, which is such a shame for him. So it's going to be RJ Blair as Jonathan finally sets a lap and goes to P10. So that puts Drogon at the back of the grid. That's a huge shock, and RJ is not improving. So that is your qualifying. Quark takes his first pole position in APPF1 with Aces just behind, and RJ not far down either. That's Extract championship leader up there in 4th. The two McLarens done well there on row 3. This is going to be a very fascinating race. So there we go. It is Quark on pole position. The man from, well, he's got the Malta flag now. I think I had him down as Irish, but anyway. Aces P2 with RJ and X-Trek making up the second row. Then it's the two McLarens. Enchilada down in P7 in the end, with Sumo in P8 after his early crash. Alex joins him there. Jonathan, Mania, Tyr, Robsu, and surprisingly Drogon make up the rest of the grid. But, well, qualifying pace is one thing. It's all about the race. No points for quali. This is where everything matters. Remember, everyone in the top 15 scores points in APPF1. So as long as you finish this race, you will score points, since we've only got 14 today. So we'll see how that affects things. So here we go for the formation lap. Let's have a quick look at the tyres. So almost everyone's starting on the medium tyres for this race. But both Mercedes going for softs. That's clearly a predetermined strategy from those two teammates. Because I know they do communicate about the races and in the party. So that's a coordinated decision there. We'll see how well it serves them. Hard tyres though for Aces versus Kings. He loves an alternate strategy, does Aces. Sometimes it does harm him more than it helps him. In fact, I'd say most of the time. But he's going for it again today, as well as Robsu starting at the back on those hard tyres. But I think this is going to be another Mexico situation where the mediums are going to be best to get off early so that you can get onto the hards after an undercut and take them the rest of the race distance. And the hards are going to be a struggle. So we'll see how it goes, especially if there's an early safety car. That's going to really put a dampener on the strategies of Aces and Robsu, because the hards tend to go quite a long way in this game, but it can be track dependent, so I'm not entirely sure how it will work here. But anyway, Quark heads down towards the final corner. For his first ever pole position start in APPF1. Let's see how well he can do from that pole position. Last week he qualified on the front row, but ended up finishing down in 6th after he binned it in the race. So we'll see if he can do one better today. Here we go, everyone getting back to the grid to start off. Oh, except for, who is that? Who is that? It's Jacko. It's Jacko who's spun it on the grid there. But he gets back to his grid spot. No harm done. Can't take damage on the formation lap. But anyway, here we go. We're about to get going for the Jeddah Grand Prix. 3, 4, 5 red lights. And we're underway for the Human Rights Grand Prix. It's a fantastic start from pole for Quark, although Aces did struggle on the hard tyres, to be fair. He keeps P2, no he doesn't! He locks the rears into turn 1. It's a disaster start for Aces, disaster start for Sumo as well, dropping all the way to the back. I think there was contact between him and Jonathan, more contact again on the exit of turn 2. He is not going to be happy, but Jonathan's got front wing damage already, so I don't know quite what happened there. But anyway, Robsu coming through Sector 1 at the moment, putting all the pressure on Mania here. We'll put a position change on the screen. Up 3 for Tier. Great start for him in the Sauber, as Alex G puts pressure on Aces as well, who's down 5 positions after that rear lockup into turn 1. And Alex with the better grip on those soft tyres is looking to get this move done. They're still side by side all the way down, but there's a McLaren in the way. This could be a disaster. They've just about gone away with it. Alex gets the position, but Aces was a bit boxed in there. Not much he could do, and Jack Alako now under pressure from the Mercedes driver from Ukraine. Oh, he's looking to the left, looking to the right, but there's no way through yet for Alex. He's going to have to stick behind as Jacko gets a much better exit, but this battle rages on. Quark leads the race by 1.1 seconds from RJ, who's now up to P2. Lawrence, the defending champion, up to 3rd place. Great start for him as well, as always. As Extra Egg, oh, the championship leader's in the wall. He's binned it at the final corner of lap 1, and he's all the way to the back with front wing damage. It's a disaster for the Norwegian, and the inconsistent story of Tier 2 this season continues. Everyone who's been at the front of the pack in the championship has binned it, usually in the very next race, and Extraek has been the latest victim of that curse. He's down into last place for a new front wing. What a disaster for him. He'll desperately be hoping that there's a safety car at some point. Jonathan also still with the pack despite that front wing damage, so it seems the front wing damage not too bad around here, but he will still be losing plenty of pace. Alex G up 4 on those soft tyres. Palan called it a Mercedes strategy. What was Sumo thinking? Well, it's working for Alex so far, but it remains to be seen whether it'll work in the long term as Tier and Jacko go wheel to wheel there. I wonder if there's damage to that McLaren. He's really struggling. No, he's just struggling big time. It just doesn't seem to have any straight line speed, does Jacko, or exit speed out of corners. Here comes Tier down the inside, and that's move made. And unless Jacko can fight it, he does fight it. Still side by side they go, but Jacko loses out, and Robsu comes through as well. Another position lost for the race winner in Imola, but he's looking to take it back down towards the final corner. There's a Sauber in the way, but Jacko goes down the inside to try and make 2 overtakes in 1 corner, and it's gonna work out. No, he can't quite get Tier on the exit, but Drogon up there as well to P9 as the defending champion gets up to 2nd place, gets past RJ into turn 1. More overtakes going on. Tier and Jacko and Drogon fighting it out. Drogon all the way up to 7th place. What a first few laps it's been for the Italian. And he's looking to get his way now into the fight for the podium possibly, but a long way up the road to any other cars now. 2.7 seconds between him and his teammate, who's on those hard tyres, just trying to stick with Alex at the moment. Tier very deep there. There's going to be plenty of track limit penalties in this race, I'm sure, as Robsu tries to hold on as well. Tier nearly into the back of Drogon there by the looks of things, but they head through sector 2 at the front of the pack. Quark leads by 2.5 seconds. He is dominating this race at the moment, but a long way to go, of course, as Lawrence is keeping RJ at bay for now, but for how long with those DRS zones coming up? Here comes the American now. He's going to have the DRS on the McLaren driver. I don't think he's going to send it into the final corner. What a beautiful helicopter shot this is, as Aces makes the move on Alex in the meantime, who I think is already starting to struggle on those soft tyres perhaps, but he gets a wonderful exit out of the final corner. Having said that, here comes RJ though down the inside of the defending champion to take 2nd place. And he's back up to where he was just a few laps ago. Aces as well down the inside of Alex to keep that position in P5. Alex is trying to try and get him on the exit, but can't quite do it. And, well, when are those soft tyres going to start dropping off, I wonder? Because Drogon has not managed to gain any time as of yet on the 2 ahead. But he's also kept Tier behind, crucially. So as long as he's at the front of that pack, he's not going to mind too much what happens ahead. Quark still about 2.5 seconds ahead. Hasn't increased that much so far this lap, but increases by another 1/10 there. But RJ brings it back on the exit. Mania and Robsu battling it out in the meantime through Sector 2. Here comes Robsu down the inside. Mania, backs out, but Robsu gets a snap of oversteer. Mania backs out even more, lifts off just to avoid any there. I don't think Robsu knew where he was going either, to be fair, with those oversteer moments, as Mania now looks to the inside and is going to make that move relatively comfortably. And Jonathan's in the hunt as well, although not relatively comfortably after all. Jonathan looking for a move as well on the Finnish driver. Mania is through, but for how long? Here comes the Ferrari, and the Irishman looking for a move is still going on here between these three as they come to the final corner. Tyr and Drogon swap places further up the field, but it's Robsu who gets back ahead of both of them, and Lawrence back ahead of RJ in the meantime. Another simple DRS pass with Enchilada holding on just behind. Here comes Jackalacco on Drogon now, and the Haas driver, no DRS on your wagon, and he loses 2 positions, but he's still up with this pack. That's all he needs to do. Just needs to stay in DRS of these two at this point. Get tyres back on screen to give better context to the standings. Yeah, plenty of position changes happening already. What a start it's been for Drogon, but he's still got a lot of work to do if he wants to get himself further up now, and that mistake at that corner is not going to help him there. He's got to stay in DRS of these guys. He can't afford to fall into this battle behind him as Jonathan and Robsu go wheel to wheel as well through this corner once again. Sumo the first to get a track limits penalty. Actually, I think that might have been Jonathan who got that 3 seconds first. But anyway, Tyr gets one straight afterwards as well. Jonathan stays ahead of these two, but that damage is going to make his life very, very difficult. Several drivers desperately hoping for a safety car in this race. Hasn't come yet, but still a long way to go as Jacko makes a daring move there down the inside as they still go wheel to wheel on the exit. Lawrence and RJ swapping once again, this time into the final corner, but Lawrence gets a poor exit. RJ gets an even worse exit. Enchilada takes full advantage and makes it past. Great stuff from the Irishman, but RJ is going to come back at him down towards turn 1. There's battles going on further down as well, but RJ gets back in front, and Enchilada not really interested in contesting that one, I have to say. He's much happier to just stay in this pack, as RJ is interested in contesting down to turn 3 though, and he makes that move. But he's binned it. He makes the move, but he loses the rear on the exit. We've got a virtual safety car. It's not a full safety car, which is a disastrous news if you're Sumo or Xterek. But RJ now with no front wing, and he's going to have to come into the pits, but that was all his own doing. That's such a shame for the American driver. He was driving really, really well until then. But that is very unfortunate indeed. Sumo must be angry, says Palang in the chat. Because it's a VSC and not a full safety car. Oh no, not Alex. That's all he needs. He needed a burst of confidence from this race, and he was doing really well until then, but it's a drive-through penalty for speeding under the VSC for the Ukrainian, and he's going to lose a ton of time in serving that one, and that's another driver added to the list today that's going to desperately want a safety car in this race as RJ goes wide with no front wing. And Tyr gets through as well, but scrapes the wall on his way past, and RJ sportingly letting everyone through there with that lack of front wing. And meanwhile, Enchilada and Lawrence going wheel to wheel. Look at the gap, by the way, that Quark has managed to pull. No idea how. That's gone up to 6 seconds nearly already down towards turn 1, but it has done. Lawrence is ahead up to P2. Alex into the pits to serve the drive-through. RJ in to replace his front wing, and Drogon and Tyr swap places again. Drogon up to P6, and now Jacko, the lead driver in these three, with Drogon trying to chase him down, but they've now 4 seconds behind Aces, so that gap has only increased. Oh no, Drogon's binned it! Drogon has binned it. He's the first DNF from this race. Just as I was singing his praises for getting past Tyr there, he is out of this Grand Prix, and Sumo is not going to believe that this is a virtual safety car, along with his teammate RJ and Extract. None of them are going to be believing their eyes when they see how bad that crash was, and seeing that the game has not brought out a safety car. That is a real shock. But a VSC it is, and Quark continues to lead the way by a significant margin now. But I don't know how that gap jumped up suddenly. I don't know what happened. I think it might have been that little kerfuffle that they had earlier, but yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe the VSC brought the gap up, and Quark's just nailed the delta and everyone behind didn't. No idea. Hello to Lewis in the chat, by the way. I believe that's Lewis AP37 of Elite Championship fame. So good to see you in the chat, man. But anyway, we're back under green flags again, as the gap 5.5 seconds between the top two now. Enchilada Dad just about in DRS range, but he did lose a bit under that VSC. Jonathan and Robsu now go wheel to wheel through the final corner. Robsu staying ahead, but Jonathan looking to the inside still, does not come into the pits. I do wonder when the first medium tyre pit stops will start coming in. Jonathan to the inside, and he's going to make that move. That's a good overtake from the Irishman there. As Robsu and Mania chasing them down as well. Drogon in the chat saying, wasn't a good idea to drive with a broken thumb. You got a broken thumb? How'd you manage that? Oh no. That's a huge shame. I'm sorry that you DNF'd, mate. It was going so well, and I do now feel bad for saying how below par your qualifying was, because that's obviously the reason why. But, oh man, I hope it recovers sooner rather than later, mate. That's horrible. But well, regardless, we still have a race on here. Jonathan just behind Robsu, just ahead of Mania. These three continuing to battle it out, as well as these two at the front, Lawrence and Enchilada Dad, whereas Quark extends his advantage every single lap at the moment. It's up to 6 seconds as we begin lap 9. Again, I have to voice my surprise. Lawrence's round at the final corner. The defending champ, a rare mistake. Well, I say a rare mistake. He's been making quite a few mistakes for the last few weeks, so maybe not so rare, but in a race that he was very quick so far today, he has now lost a ton of time and is back behind aces again. And down to P4. Lots of mistakes coming in. I don't know if there was contact with Enchilada Dad or if he overcooked it. I think the likely explanation is that he overcooked his braking into the corner and had to just take evasive action and go very deep to avoid hitting the back of the Sauber driver. But nonetheless, he is down to 4th place now. And now Quark is able to stretch his legs. Over 7 seconds is the gap. And wow, in Mexico, he was very much, he was towards the front of the pack. Of course, he was in podium contention until he binned it, but it wasn't quite like this. Obviously a fan of this circuit, as Mania and Jonathan now go wheel to wheel. Mania getting ahead of the Ferrari driver as they go through the middle sector. Robsu now 1.2 seconds ahead of those two, though. So he's relatively comfortable in P7 now. Perhaps those hard tyres now starting to have an advantage over the mediums. But the pit stops have not come in yet. The only ones who've stopped are the ones who've taken damage so far. So, well, I take that back. Enchilada Dad into the pits. An early stop for him, trying to get the undercut in. It'll be hard tyres to the end of the race. And he's going to come out, I think, in perfectly clear air. Yeah, he should be well ahead of Alex. And Jonathan also electing to pit, so should be changing his front wing, I would have thought, unless he keeps it. No, he is changing it, so Jonathan wanting to get back to full pace, I don't blame him at all. Enchilada Dad out in very clear air, and this is a good chance for him to stretch his legs. 7.5 seconds to Mania, and well, here's his chance to make the undercut work and gain some time back on the race leader. Jonathan exits as well down in P12. Is he going to be behind or ahead of Sumo, I wonder? Just ahead. Sumo comes through turns 1 and 2 and can't quite see the Ferrari, but he is only just ahead of him. There you go, just saw him disappear behind turn 3. So Aces still holding off Lawrence at the moment, 1.3, 1.4. It stayed at around 1.5 seconds ever since Lawrence's mishap. Sumo gets himself another time penalty. This is not going to be his day, I don't think. It's not gone well for my podcast partner, unfortunately, I'm sad to say. But Aces, some 11 seconds behind Quark at the moment. Quark still, I don't know if that gap is increasing or staying relatively static now between him and Aces, but either way, he is very comfortable in this race at the moment, as Tier is the next one to pull the trigger, and Mania just behind him as well, both of them into the pits for the hard tyres to the end of this race. Enchilada flies past them down to turn 1 as he's trying to make this undercut work, and well, he's going to get at least 2 laps to get this undercut to work. So I think this is the right call from the Irishman. It was 7 seconds to Quark, so he might as well give it a go. Try and see how much time he can gain from the undercut. As Exterek and Mania swap positions. Exterek just behind him on the exit there. But of course, Exterek, 9-lap-old hard tyres. He does have raw pace advantage over Mania, but the tyres are going to come into play here. So we shall see if Exterek... yeah, that earlier mistake from Exterek at the final corner really costing the championship leader at the moment. Here, meanwhile, just behind Alex as well, who's on 10-lap-old softs since the start of the race. He's had those tyres in, nearly binning it on the curb there on the exit of that left-hander. That was very, very close. He just about survives, and I think he should dispatch of this Mercedes by the end of this lap. I think he'll do it into the final corner, if not into turn 1. Jacko the next to pull the trigger. He is into the pits as well. The other McLaren stays out of Lawrence, as well as Aces, of course, and Robsu on those hard tyres that they started the race on. Quark only gained about 4/10 to Aces that lap, but still those mediums working decently for him. So we'll see if this undercut does anything for Enchilada at all when Quark does eventually come in. Jacko comes out the pits. Where is Tier, though, in relation? Down towards turn 1. Where's the McLaren? Just ahead. There he goes. You saw him in the distance there. So Jacko staying ahead of the Sauber driver. Robsu the next to get a track limits penalty in the meantime, but Tier has managed to clear the Mercedes of Alex, and he's now up to P7 with Alex still staying out on those softs. Not sure what the Mercedes strategy is, but well, to be fair, the drive-through did not help. And now Quark, I think, beginning to slowly be reeled in by Aces. So we have definitely hit the crossover point now. But Quark staying out still for another lap. We'll see how close it is to Enchilada when they come through. The gap at the moment is, let's look at the gap to leader, is 32 seconds. So yeah, Quark should still be safely out ahead. But by how much is the question? I can't remember how much time you lose in the pit lane in Jeddah. Lawrence into the pits, though, in the meantime. And, well, where's he going to come out for his teammate? That's the question, because they were close together when they both pitted. Robsu in as well. Very early stop for the medium tyres, getting those hard tyres off. And that's going to be tough to get those mediums to the end, I would have thought. Lawrence coming out the pit lane now. Let's ride on board with his teammate as he comes down towards turn 1. Where is the defending champ? He's already gone, well past turn 2. So the undercut maybe not proving too good at the moment. Enchilada Dad now only 30 seconds behind Quark. It was 32, I believe, the last time we checked, but that was a poor line through sector 1. That will definitely cost him some time. And yeah, indeed, back up to 32 seconds. I think I just misread the times. It was always 32. But Quark, yeah, still just pushing on. He is far and away the best driver on this track today so far. Jonathan now, the next to get a track limits penalty. But he does have a repaired wing, but he's come out behind Mania again. And Mania is staying with Extrek, but Extrek not able to get rid of him. Those older tyres just proving a step too far for the Williams driver at the moment. That's very far off the track for Mania. Big misjudgment from him as Quark finally pulls the trigger and is into the pits. And we'll see what the gap is to Enchiladadad when he comes out. But Extrek is going to be looking to chase after Alex and Robsu here. That's going to be his aim. But he is going to be under pressure from these two behind as here comes Jonathan and Mania down towards the last corner. This is going to be feisty. Into the last corner they go. Extrek gets passed by the Ferrari, but Mania has to stay back. He did not want to send that. And yeah, no time gained for Enchiladad from the undercut. So yeah, I don't think the undercut is very powerful around here, but also Quark is just that much faster, I think, is the key takeaway. And should easily win this race bar any drama, I think. Jonathan, in the meantime, has caught up to Alex. So this train now got the Mercedes in their sights. Alex still staying out the pits on those soft tyres and really struggling. It is not going well at all. Yeah, Ash in the chat, half the race on softs. Absolutely. This is a crazy strategy call from the Mercedes team, but I think Alex just trying to hold these drivers up maybe to help out Sumo. I think that might be the plan, and well, he's doing a great job of it at the moment. Jonathan not able to get through, and this must be costing them so much time. We'll see that gap to Sumo drop as Jonathan finally gets through, but how much time has he lost from that battling? Sumo comes through. Oh, Alex really messing with these drivers here. Extrek just about getting through. Alex trying his best to slow them down and doing a very decent job of it, but Sumo just not able to gain any time at all, really. He's gained 3/10, if that, and Alex surely finally into the pits at the end of this lap now. Now that these three are past him, I would have thought. Through the final corner, pit lane for Alex. No! Stays out on the soft tyres. I've no idea what the plan is. I really don't at this point. But Extrek trying to stay with Jonathan. Those hards, I believe, should go to the end for Extrek, but he's going to be in a much worse situation tyre-wise than the other drivers around him. So it is definitely an uphill battle for the championship leader. Who have we lost? Alex. It was inevitable. I won't lie. The way those softs were looking, it was not looking good for him. And, well, I really hate to say that, because I really wanted him to have a good race today. I was really rooting for him, but 14 laps on the soft tyres ain't it. And, yeah, the looking on his onboard and seeing how much he was struggling, it just seemed inevitable that eventually he was going to put it in the wall if he stayed out any longer. And that is exactly what's happened. Unfortunately for the Ukrainian, I really feel for him, but hopefully he can bounce back next time. This is perfect for aces. Good timing as well. Into the pits, under the VSC. The green flags are back out, so he hasn't gained that much time, actually. He would have been hoping it would stay out longer. So where's he going to be in relation to Enchilada? Quark is long gone. That is not a battle that is worth having. Aces onto the softs. Okay, aces. Yeah, this is classic aces. For those of you unfamiliar with Tier 2, yeah, this is aces in a nutshell. Going for absolutely crazy strategies that no one else would even dream of. And sometimes making them work, other times really hurting his race. I think that might be the case in what happens here. RJ and Tier wheel to wheel in the meantime. RJ going a little over turn 2 as he tries to keep the position. Tier down the inside, and he takes that place up to P6. But for how long? RJ hounding him, and there's penalties on that Sauber as well. So RJ in prime position here to try and get a top 6 finish. Meanwhile, the two McLarens 4 and 5 and the two Saubers 3 and 6, and Red Bull in P1 for Quark there. So the constructors looking quite interesting at the moment. Particularly Sauber and McLaren very close in points, but Red Bull will be right up there as well. As it stands, Sauber will score 14 plus 12, 11, 10. They should score 24 points to Red Bull's 20 and to McLaren's 23. So all of them are going to be very similar on points, and I think those three teams are going to streak away from the rest of the teams. Well, I say streak away. In the context of this championship, streaking away is getting like 10 points clear. That's how close it's been so far this season. But X-Trek, meanwhile, talking of a close championship, his championship lead definitely going to be eaten into after this race. Tier, in the meantime, passed by RJ once again. RJ up to P6. Can Jonathan get the better of X-Trek into turn 1? They're side by side once again, still side by side through turn 2. Jonathan's got the outside line. X-Trek leaves in the room. Great racing between those two, and Jonathan gets ahead, but X-Trek definitely the one with the advantage here. Despite the much older tyres, he's the only one here that doesn't have a penalty. So as long as he can keep it that way, he should be able to at least secure P9 from this race, but will struggle to do any better than that as Jonathan, big slide, and gets another track limits warning and another penalty. Here comes X-Trek down the inside of the Ferrari into the long hairpin. He's not going to get the move done there, not enough traction on the exit, and just about loses out. Quark up ahead in the meantime, 6.8 seconds. Aces is closing him down, but those soft tyres are not going to last for long. I think Ace's battle is more with Enchilada Dad here for P2 than it is with Quark for P1. I think Quark is long gone in this race. But still plenty to fight for, and that's one of the things to fight for. Fastest lap goes to Aces, and he gets that extra point. He could be leading the championship after this race. Who knows? I can't work out the maths right now. Too much going on, and too many drivers in the championship fight. But X-Trek and Jonathan once again going wheel to wheel. Jonathan bails into the pits. There must be damage to the Ferrari, surely. And well, he's going to go for fastest lap here. He goes back behind Sumo, and yeah, a new front wing. That's the second front wing change for the Irishman so far today. Disastrous race for him so far, which is such a shame. Especially since I predicted him on the podium in the podcast. My bad, Jonathan. Clearly cursed you. But anyway, X-Trek right behind Mania still. Oh, that would have been close to a track limits warning. Normal service is resumed. Lawrence up front and Sumo near the back, says Scott. Ouch. Ouch. That's very unnecessary. Alex asking to join me for commentary. If you want, mate, I can invite you to a party if you want. And you can be my eyes and ears on the circuit if you like. But just let me know and I'll open a party. Tier. Just behind RJ at the moment, he's the meat in an Aston Martin, 2 Aston Martin pieces of bread for a sandwich, as here comes Robster around the outside. Tier squeezes him nearly into the wall, but just about leaving enough racing room. Acer sets the fastest lap again as he chases after Quark, but Tier down towards turn 1. He's going to have the DRS, but so is Robsu. He's looking to the outside once again. It's going to be 3 wide maybe into turn 1. No, Tier backs out and stays behind the Finnish driver. Robsu gets ahead. His Aston Martin's working really well here to deny Tier a few points, and that could be crucial in the context of the Constructors' Championship. Tier down to P8, and with only 3 seconds of penalties though, so he's doing all right on that front, but still he's going to be wanting to at least finish ahead of Robsu, I would have thought. And well, Robsu is going to be struggling towards the end of this race, so I think there's plenty of chance for Tier to retake that position. But as long as RJ doesn't get a penalty, he should be well clear of these two to finish in the top 6. Alex says send it, so I will just join the tier 2 party, and you can join through there, Alex, if you like. Just make sure you have your settings on, of course, to allow your voice to be broadcasted. Safety car! Safety car! Who's binned it? Who has binned it? It's Jonathan! Jonathan has binned it on those fresh medium tyres that he just put on, and it's been a real struggle for the Irishman this race, but now he's caused a safety car, and this race is going to come alive. Quark, who was leading by just under 6 seconds when that safety car came out, it is yet another late safety car in tier 2. How is this a safety car and the DNFs earlier weren't is beyond me. But anyway, RJ stays out on 13 lap old hard tyres. Hello Alex, I can hear you, who's just joined.
Hiya.
But welcome to the stream. I'll ask you how the crash happened in a second, but RJ staying out on 13 lap old hards. Quark had already gone past the pit lane, but he will have an opportunity to pit, as will RJ. So there's another opportunity for them. Aces has gone onto the mediums. He didn't have another set of softs, so that's going to be a bit difficult for him to keep that position now. And his unorthodox strategy has, well, I am afraid to say once again, backfired. And Extract back in this race now as well, the championship leader as well, because of the penalties ahead of him. And Sumo as well, but he does have 6 seconds of track limits penalties, so it is going to be a struggle for him. But anyway, out you this race, and you were doing really well, but
thank you.
He stayed out on those soft tyres for about 4 years. So I'd just like to ask why. What was the strategy?
There wasn't. So initially, starting off, Sumo and I, we were off position, P8 and P9, I think. So we decided, well, we'll go on softs, be aggressive. Ian unfortunately had a moment with Enchilada. I didn't. But yeah, then I had that drive-through penalty, which was a bit unfortunate. And from there I was like, yeah, I'll just stay out, try to stay out as long as possible to get a safety car. Unfortunately, it never came. But yeah, just one of those races. I was expecting to be faster, to be honest, around here. Don't quite know what happened to my pace in the race and quali, but yeah, rooting for Sumo now.
Indeed. Well, Sumo's got a lot of work to do with those 6 seconds of penalties. RJ coming out the pits in P7, so he's actually lost a few positions from waiting a lap. But will it pay off with the lower wear is the question. But given that Scott has said in the chat that Aces was only on 10% deg on his soft tyres after some 4 or 5 laps, or 3 or 4 laps maybe, perhaps not. I don't think it's going to give RJ that much of an advantage at all, so he's just got to focus on not getting another track limits penalty, and he should be able to gain at least a couple of positions. But we're in for yet another drama-filled ending to a Tier 2 race, and after Mexico last week, I'm not sure my heart can take it, Alex.
It's going to be a very interesting battle. Quark has been doing quite a good job. P1, Ace has been really, really fast, and he's P2 with the mediums. Personally here, I think all strategies could work, but we're going to have like 3 racing laps, so I wouldn't want to be in Ace's position. But yeah, I think there's going to be chaos at turn 1, to be honest, because they'll all be on softs. They're all going to set it. So yeah,
it's going to be fascinating. There's going to be drama, I'm sure of it. Last 3 laps of Jeddah, it was looking like we were going to have a pretty calm race. Just like Mexico last week, it was looking like we were going to have some great battles, but ultimately a calm race. But once again, that's thrown out of the window here. And yeah, Ash confirming, yeah, no one wants to lose. Absolutely, all these guys are racers. They all want to win. They all want to get as many points as possible, especially in a championship that is this close. But yeah, Aces in not in an enviable position right now, I would say. If I was him, I would have just gone on to another set of softs, even though even if they were used in quali, I would have just used them anyway, because that's what everyone else has done. I'm not sure why he's done this.
Yeah, I agree. I would have gone for the softs as well, even if they were used in quali. Because they would probably have like 3-4% if he really pushed in quali, and even then probably that's a bit too much. So yeah, I'm not sure why he did that, but maybe he was expecting the safety car to come in a bit earlier. I don't know.
Maybe it is a strange call. Hopefully a nice clean last lap, says Ash. Yes, absolutely. Drogon in the chat saying Vamos Aces. Well, he's got some work to do, Drogon, I won't lie. Your teammate is not in the best spot here. The only driver on track on the medium tyres right now. With everyone else on fresh softs, he's going to really struggle to hold on to this. But who knows what could happen in these last few laps. Palang also in the chat, asking you
what happened.
Yeah.
What happened to my pace? I genuinely don't know. I thought I was going to be faster around here. I was 1.4 seconds slower than my time trial time. I generally don't know why. I did practice races as well. That didn't work out the way I thought, but yeah.
We're getting going again, Alex. Sorry to interrupt you. Quark comes out the final corner, and he has gone already. But he's been the victim of the limiter there, because Aces has got the jump on him. Aces into the lead of the Human Rights Grand Prix. Quark is going to go down the inside of him into turn 1. Turn 2, they bash wheels on the exit. Enchilada that gets his way through, and Quark's perfect race is falling to pieces here. Aces into the lead, but Quark down the inside. What a move from the Red Bull rookie. Into P2 he goes, and back after Aces again. Enchilada that's going to have to accept P3 for now, but he's got the defending champion right behind you. If you're in tier 2 and you've got a driver right behind you with a few laps to go, you do not want it to be Lawrence. This man is hungry. He wants to get that third tier 2 title, but he's quite a few points down at the moment in the championship, so he needs as many as he can get. And with those 3 seconds of penalties, he needs to get as much of an advantage as he can in these last few laps. Robsu and RJ up there as well. The 2 Aston Martins tier in the mix too for the Saubers. And the Constructors is going to be very close here as well. Aces still leads from Quark as they go through lap 23 of 25. 2 to go at the end of this one. But Quark is going to be pushing him all the way to turn 1. And Aces is going to struggle here to hold on to this. Extract making a move as well as the 2 Astons swap positions too.
Yeah, and there's a good battle behind with Sumo, Starek, Mania. Mania was P9, now is P10. Sumo right behind, Jonathan as well. It's a 4-way fight. It's going to be interesting in turn 1.
It certainly is. It's looking like it could be 3 wide into turn 1 between these 3. Sumo and Mania side by side. Mania gives up the place. He knows Sumo has more penalties. He doesn't need to fight this. Jonathan hits the back of him, though. That was nearly a disaster, but they've gotten away with it. And Sumo up to P10 on track, but those penalties are going to cost him. Here we've got yellow flags. Jonathan's out. Jonathan's out. He will be classified in P12, but I think that is the end, the fitting end to...
penalty.
Disastrous Grand Prix, and another penalty, to the defending champion Lawrence on 6 seconds now, and that's a disaster for his chances of gaining too many points in this race, and he's going to drop all the way down to P9. It's a repeat of Mexico where he finished high up, but he ended low down in Aces with a time penalty. He's gone deep, and he was doing so well to hold off Quark, but that is just one mistake too many, and the 3-second penalty is going to drop him down even off the podium as it stands, and that would be so undeserved for the driver who's been so fast today.
I think Lawrence needs to let Jacko through. He's holding back Jacko now. I mean, got a bit of distance now, but he has time penalty, so he should let Jacko go. and try and protect that place for McLaren.
Quite possibly, and now it's just damage control for Aces. He's got to try, and well, he's got the fastest lap. He's flying on those mediums. It was clearly the right choice, but it's just not happening as Robsu round the outside of RJ into P5. What a move from the American, and he'll be chasing after Lawrence now, but he doesn't need to. Lawrence with the 6 seconds of penalties, but he himself is chasing after Enchilada. He wants to get as much time as possible on the cars behind, but is just not able to do it. But Enchilada goes deep. Lawrence to the inside. Enchilada leaves the space. But Lawrence nearly bins it on the exit. RJ comes through. It's 3 wide down towards the hairpin, and RJ and Lawrence get past it's Sauber driver, and Enchilada Dad could miss out on this podium. How undeserved that would be. But here they go into the next few corners. Aces should still have the podium, but goodness me. Oh no, he's binned it. Aces has binned it from the lead of the race. It's a disaster for the Haas driver on the final lap. That is absolutely gutting. He is going to be devastated with that one. Quark now leads by 2.2 seconds. Lawrence wide again. Yeah, indeed, Alex. As they come through into the last few corners, Lawrence under pressure from RJ. Here we go. Who's going to get on this podium? It could be anyone. RJ around the outside of Lawrence into the final corner. He makes the move. He's up to B2, but Enchilada Dad holds off Jackalacco. Robsu there as well. Quark wins the Human Rights Grand Prix, but the podium is going to be RJ and Enchilada Dad in the end, with Jacko or Lawrence nearly taking everyone out there across the line.
I think Lawrence will be fuming, as you like to say, but I think McLaren played their cards wrong. I think they should have let Jacko go through. Lawrence should have let Jacko go through and try to hold everyone back, and just let his teammates pass.
Quite possibly. Perhaps Jacko could have fought for that podium at the end if they had been in inverted positions, but as it was, I think Enchilada getting on the podium I'm happy about, because he fully deserved that, but RJ has swindled his way onto that podium there. Well, it's a fantastic drive from him though in the last couple of laps.
Yeah, it is, and you have to feel for Ace. I mean, he was doing a great job. He then got that 3-second time penalty, and then that spin. So yeah, you have to feel for him. Who's your driver of the day?
Oh, goodness me. It was going to be Aces until that final lap. I'll run through the order and then give driver of the day. Quark wins the race. It looked like he was going to lose it after dominating the whole race, but he did manage to take it in the end. RJ somehow swindles P2. Enchilada Dad as well, P3, and back-to-back podiums for him. Jacko Extra somehow in the top 5 for the championship leader. And then it's Robsu, Tier, Mania, Lawrence, Sumo, Aces, devastatingly, Jonathan, the last of the classified drivers, and then yourself, Alex, and Drogon, unable to finish the race, unfortunately. Scott says Scott was clearly watching Ace's stream because he says he's deaf, and he says Ace has got the wrong corner. What a mistake to make on the final lap. That is absolutely devastating. But
you definitely feel for him. Before I go out, I'd just like to point to drivers I think that deserve credit. Robsu and Mania, they've both been struggling this game cycle, but they got good results from where they started, so credit to them. And it was nice being here with you, Gus.
Nice
I crashed on purpose just to join you. So that's going to be my excuse.
Great to have you in the
I'll
box,
let you
man.
Do the interviews, and thank you for having me once again.
No problem at all. Thank you for joining. Waiting for RJ, and I'll ping Quark to give me a summary of his race. Okay, just waiting for RJ. But wow, what a race that was! Absolutely incredible scenes. I'm just going to ping RJ to remind him. Okay, we will be able to interview Quark, but I'll have to be a bit finicky about it. Okay, well, RJ has joined in, so I will interview you two, and then I will join on Discord so we can interview our race winner as well. I'll start with P2, RJ. Well, it was a great quali, and well, just like last week, I'm not sure how you've swindled your way onto the podium, but even so, once again, picking up the pieces in a chaotic last couple of laps. What can I say? You're the master at it at the moment.
Didn't Enchilada do the same? Like finished P3 last week. The same thing happened.
Yep.
Like carbon copy. I'm not gonna lie. I got lucky with the VSCs. I had put the full throttle at the end of sector 1 into the paint, or I don't know what it's called. Couldn't even tell you the turn. But anyway, hit the wall and got lucky with the VSC. It forced me to pit early on those hards. So the opposite of last week. I remember I went really long on those mediums. It actually forced me to go for a super long hard stint, and I was actually really happy with it, I'm not going to lie. The safety car at the end definitely helped as well, and I saved a spin, but like you said, just picking up the pieces, dude. I don't even know how the heck I'm even P2 right now.
Well, I mean, once again, I mean, you two again on the podium. What can I say? After another late safety car, you two just the masters at this at the moment. But yeah, RJ, I mean, you were very fast in the opening few laps, and a good quali again from you. But yeah, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a spin at some point, and it cost you a lot of time.
Yeah, Ghost, I'm not great with the corners, man. I'm not going to start with the turns. I think it was 3. I think it's 3 is the one you have to go 2 downshifts, and it's a hard left-hander. And I got onto the paint right there on the right, fighting Lawrence, when I should have probably just gone to the corner a lot slower. And yep, just put it into the wall, and luckily did not lose a wheel, and was able to pit. And I think luckily a VSC popped out just at the halfway point of my pit stop, so I got a little lucky because I had to repair my front wing as well. So again, just lucky and picked up the pieces where I could.
Well, it's a great performance nonetheless, and congratulations to be back on the podium again. Just having a brief glance at the standings, I don't think this is going to put you quite in the range that we've got to talk about you in contention for the championship yet, but a few more results like this could well do. So who knows, RJ? Keep it up, because you're having a very strong second half of the season. Well done.
Thanks again for the commentary as always, Ghost. Congratulations to Quartek. I don't even know how to pronounce it, sorry dude. And Enchilada on the podium. Later, boys. No
problem at all, RJ. I'll come to Enchilada, our P3 finisher. It's your 3rd podium of the season, Enchilada, and with Ace's very, very unfortunate last lap crash, and Extrek finishing down in 5th. That will gain you a few points on the front of the field. I think Extrek will still be leading the championship, but it's going to be just that little bit closer. Are you starting to believe?
I'm not sure. We'll see. That race kind of went by really quickly for me. And you said about Ace being unlucky. I felt really bad for him because that's a few times in a row he should be on the podium clearly, and he's just been unlucky. I think he managed to overcut me, which I didn't think was even physically possible in this game, but and yeah, I was at the start, I was just following along with Lawrence and RJ battling each other, and I was happy enough just being behind them. Then they both had little moments themselves, so that was clear by myself in B2. And as soon as I was like by myself, it's like I forgot like where to drive. Like I just felt a lot more comfortable falling behind them. I think I was dropping time when I was on my own. And then I thought the safety car was gonna like screw me over, and I was content with my P3, and I ended up P3 anyway, so it didn't really matter. Even though I don't know if you saw it, I was spinning on the last lap. I lost like 2 places, but
Oof.
I don't think ahead kept me third.
No, I didn't see it. There was so much going on. Yeah, there's 2 things I wanted to highlight really. Before the late safety car, it was looking like you were going to cruise to a comfortable podium. Is that what you were expecting? Was quali disappointing for you? Were you hoping to be higher, or was the race pace you had surprising? And I think as well, obviously the consistency was there, and others wasn't. But even so, you were right up there for pace. So was that something you were expecting coming into it?
Not overly. I think the consistency was mainly just the main thing. I was being quite cautious just to not like hit a wall or anything more than anything. And like quality, I guess I could have set better time, but like I find it really difficult to like maximize it in Jeddah especially. So I was fine with my lap, but I could have maybe been like 2 positions ahead maybe. And it felt like a lot of people had like equal pace pretty much, but like if you had like an incident, you just fell down. But I managed to stay clean enough.
Absolutely, and sometimes that's all you need to do to get a good result. The other one thing I wanted to highlight, there was that point where Lawrence went off at the final corner. We just about missed that on the stream. We just saw him getting back onto the circuit after it had already happened. What did happen there? Could you shine some light on that?
I think he just locked up. Like I was not near him enough to. There was definitely no contact, like you said, but I'm not exactly sure what happened. It looked weird from my end. It was like he just forgot to turn or something, but like he probably just locked up.
Well, fair enough. But congratulations on another podium. That's 3 now for this season, and well, the results are really starting to come your way. And if it wasn't, I dare say, if it wasn't for that late safety car, X-Trek would have finished way down. He's very lucky to end up P5 in the end. So championship is still game on, because X-Trek, as we've seen, not infallible to the curse that's existed for the championship leaders so far this season.
Yeah. I think he would have been up there if he didn't spin, though. Like, he was in the same train as me before he spun right in front of me, so... Like, he maybe got, like, clawed back where he could have been in the end.
Yeah, well, nonetheless, great result for you again, Enchilada Dad. Well done. I think the Constructors is going to be very, very close as well after this race, so well done.
Thanks, thank you.
Right, I'm just going to go into a Discord voice chat, so I will have to leave you while I do that. I've got to figure out exactly how to do it as well. But anyway, let's see. Oh, I've got to activate my Discord account. Goodness me. Do I have time to do this on stream? Let's see. Discord. Oh god, I've got to log in and everything. Okay, well, I apologise to Quark that I won't be able to broadcast the interview. I will get this sorted for next week, I promise, so that we'll be able to interview the PC guys. But for now, I will just read out his summary of the race, which he's written down for me, thankfully. He said, really solid qualifying. I made a deliberate decision at the start of the session to save a fresh set of soft tyres because I felt my pace was good enough. Sure enough, managed to take pole and even improve a bit. Then the Grand Prix was awesome, thanks to everyone just pinning it by themselves. Yeah, indeed. I really wanted to have a cleaner race than Mexico, as that all unraveled thanks to me spinning on my own. I led the race comfortably and managed my ERS as best I could. There was a scare though at the end, as I just missed the pit lane entrance when the full safety car came out, and the game limited my top speed on the restart, allowing Ace and Enchilada to get ahead of me. Sorry, Enchiladi Daddy, as he's put it. Managed to keep my cool and focus on the race, so thankfully it paid off. So congratulations to Quark for his first ever APPF1 race win. I'm sure there will be many more to come. So congratulations to him once again. But huge commiserations to Aces. He fully deserved a podium from today, if not the race win there at the end, because if it wasn't for that track limits penalty, he was running away with it. Quark just did not have the pace in those last couple of laps, so he made the right choice to go on the mediums, but he couldn't show that it was the right choice in the end, unfortunately. Driver of the day. Oh, goodness. Could be Quark, first ever APP race win. Could be Enchilada for a solid race. Could be RJ for getting those positions at the end. I don't know. So many people binned it today that so it's difficult to really give a driver of the day. I think I'll give it to Quark just because he had the most consistent and was the fastest on track today. And yeah, so congratulations to him on his first APP race win as well. And that's it from me today. The standings are going to look very, very interesting after this one. If you're in the Discord, do check them out. They'll be up in a few minutes. But regardless of that, thank you all ever so much for watching. It's been a fantastic race today. I think Tier 2 did a brilliant job on a very tough track. So well done to the whole division. 3 rounds to go. Next week, we head to Belgium for round 8. And, well, this championship is going to go all the way down to the wire. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye.